The Second Congo War, also known as the Great War of Africa or the Great African War, and sometimes referred as the African World War, began in the Democratic Republic of Congo in August 1998, little more than a year after the First Congo War, and involved some of the same issues. The, the war officially ended in July 2003 when the transitional government of the Democratic Republic of Congo took power. Although a peace agreement was signed in 2002, violence has continued in many regions of the country, especially in the east. Hostilities have continued since the ongoing Lord's Resistance Army insurgency and the Kivu and Ituri conflicts. Ultimately, 9 African countries and around 25 armed groups became involved in the war. By 2008, the war and its aftermath had caused 5.4 million deaths. The Second Congo War, the deadliest conflict world war since World War II. Another 2 million were displaced from their homes or sought asylum in neighboring countries. Despite a formal end to the war in July 2003 and an agreement by the former belligerents to create a government of national unity. 1,000 people died daily in 2004 from easily preventable cases of malnutrition and diseases. The war was driven by, as the conflicts afterwards have been, the trade in conflict minerals, among other things. The initial rebel offensive threatened the Kabila government in matter of weeks. A quick intervention of a number of other African states attempted to help the DRC in countering the rebel offense. As rebel forces were pushed back, it appeared for a time that an escalation in the conflict to a conventional war among multiple national armies loomed. Such an outcome was avoided as battle lines stabilized in 1999. After that, the conflict was fought for much of the time by irregularly proxy forces with little change in the territories held by various parties. On 2nd August 1998, the Bamulenge in Goma erupted into rebellion. Rwanda offered them immediately assistance and early in August as well-armed rebel group. The Rally for Congolese Armed Rebel Group, Democracy, RCD, composed primarily of Bamulenge and backed by Rwanda and Uganda, emerged. This group quickly came to dominate the resource-rich eastern provinces and based its operations in Goma. The RCD quickly controlled of the towns of Bukavu and Uvira in the Kivu. The Tutsi-led Rwandan government allied with Uganda and Burundi also retaliated, occupying with a portion of northern eastern Congo. To help remove the occupying Rwandan's President Kabila enlisted the aid of refugee Hutus in eastern Congo and began to agitate public opinion against the Tutsis, resulting in several public lynchings in the streets of Kinshasa. On 12 August, a Loyalty Army major broadcast a message urging resistance from a radio station in Bunia in eastern Congo. People must bring a machete, a spear, an arrow, a hoe, spades, rakes, nails, truncheons, electric irons, barbed wire, stones, and the like in order, dear listeners, to kill the Rwandan Tutsis. The Rwandan government also challenged current borders by claiming a substantial part of eastern Congo as historical Rwanda. The Rwandans alleged that Kabila was organizing a genocide against their Tutsi Britain in the Kivu region. The degree to which Rwandan intervention was motivated by a desire to protect the Banyamulenge as opposed to using them as smokescreen for its regional aspirations after ousting Mobutu is still being debated. In a bold move, Rwandan soldiers under the command of James Kabarebe hijacked 3 planes and flew them to the government base of Kitona on the Atlantic coast. The planes landed in the base of Kitona, but the motley collection of troops there, ex-FAS, but also Angolan UNITA elements and former Pascal Lisoba Millionamen from Brazzaville, were in poor condition and in no condition to fight unless given food or weapons. They were quickly won over the Rwandan side. More towns in the east and around Kitona fell in rapid succession as the combined RCD, Rwandan and rebel soldiers overwhelmed government forces aimed a flurry of ineffectual diplomatic efforts by various African nations. By 13 August, less than 2 weeks after the revolt had begun, rebels held the Inga hydroelectric station that provided power to Kinshasa as well as the port of Matadi through which most of Kinshasa's food passed. The Diamond Center of Kisangani fell into rebel hands on 23 August and forces advancing from the east had begun to threaten Kinshasa by late August. Uganda, while retraining, joined support of the RCD. With Rwanda also created a rebel group that it supported exclusively the Movement for the Liberation of Congo, MLC. Fighting continued throughout the country even as rebel forces advanced on Kinshasa. Government forces continued to battle for control of towns in the east of the country. The Hutu militants, of whom Kabila was no cooperation, were also a significant force in the east. Nevertheless, the fall of the capital forces its and of Kabila, who had spent the previous weeks desperately seeking support from various African nations and Cuba, seemed increasingly certain. The rebel offensive was abruptly reversed as Kabila's diplomatic efforts bore fruit. The first African countries to respond to Kabila's request were fellow members of the Southern Africa Development Community (SADC). While officially the SADC members are bound to a mutual defense treaty in the case of the outside aggression, many member nations took a neutral stance to the conflict. However, the governments of Namibia, Zimbabwe, and Angola supported the Kabila government after several more nations joined the conflict for Kabila in the following weeks: Chad, Libya, and Sudan. A multi-sided war thus began. In September 1998, Zimbabwean forces flew into Kinshasa of a rebel advance that reached the outskirts of the capital, while Angola units attacked northward from its borders and eastward from the Angolan territory of Cabinda. Against the besieging rebel forces, this intervention by various nations saved the Kabila government and pushed the rebel front lines away from the capital. However, it was unable to defeat the rebel forces, and the advance threatened to escalate into direct conflict with the national armies of Uganda and Rwanda. In November 1998, a new Ugandan-backed rebel group, the Movement for the Liberation of Congo, was reported in north of the country. On 6 November, Rwandan President Paul Kagame admitted for the first time that Rwandan forces were assisting the RCD rebels for security reasons, apparently after request by Nelson Mandela to advance peace talks. On 18 January 1999, Rwanda, Uganda, Angola, Namibia, and Zimbabwe agreed on a ceasefire at a summit at Windhoek, Namibia, with the RCD was not invited. Fighting thus continued. Outside of Africa, most states remained neutral but urged an end to the violence.